Shifts arrive in silence, but rearrange everything. The Capricorn full moon on July the 13th is one of those moments. And whether you've named it or not, you've already been moving differently. The disconnection, the urge to leave certain spaces without apology, the sharp awareness that something in you has outgrown the old version of your life. This is more than a moon. It's a clean break from patterns that no longer match who you are. And it doesn't wait for permission. It moves things. It locks doors you kept trying to reopen. This isn't just a full moon in Capricorn. It's a precision-coded moment opening under the influence of Saturn's reversal and Pluto's last grip on what's outdated. The moon peaks on July the 13th, but the current was activated the moment we entered the 789 portal on July 8th, just as the sun began approaching a karmic zone once known in mystery traditions as the Ridge of Remembering. Capricorn governs long-range choices, timelines, integrity, soul contracts that demand results. But with Pluto still reshaping its final degrees, this moon doesn't ask what you want to build. It shows you what no longer supports your next version. In ancient systems, this lunar zone was sacred to the Watcher of the West, the gatekeeper of release. This isn't astronomy. This is alignment. A threshold coded in your path long before you knew how to name it. It begins quietly, like most real transformations do, not with fireworks, but with a strange pause in your momentum. A delay that doesn't feel like punishment, but preparation. The Capricorn full moon isn't here to inspire. It's here to finalize, to wrap up stories your spirit has been cycling through lifetime after lifetime. This is where karmic echoes stop repeating and start releasing. On a spiritual level, this moon acts like a pressure point in your field. A reset that doesn't just clear your path, but resets the way you move through it. What you're stepping into now isn't about chasing something new. It's about matching what's always been waiting for you. When timelines shift, they rarely do so with comfort. They dissolve, and what remains is what belongs to the version of you that's been quietly emerging through every breakdown, every silence, every time you said less and listened more. Capricorn's energy doesn't entertain illusions. It highlights what's real, and if you've outgrown something, it'll feel heavier than ever right now. That discomfort isn't failure, it's feedback. Your body, your spirit, your energetic rhythm, they're all getting recalibrated. You may find yourself sleeping deeper or waking up with clarity you can't explain. These aren't random shifts, they're upgrades. Your system is getting tuned for higher capacity, less distortion, and more aligned movement. Spiritually, this moon functions like a contract review. Soul agreements that are complete will feel suffocating if you try to keep them alive. People, patterns, plans, they're either in resonance or they're not. And you don't need a breakdown to justify the release. Sometimes your growth is the only closure that's required. This is a soft ending with sharp edges, and if you let it, it can initiate you into the version of your life that finally fits. Not because it's easy, but because it's real. You don't need to manifest anything. Just don't resist what's leaving. That's the shift. Everything in you is responding to this shift. Even if your mind can't make sense of it yet. Your body, your breath, your inner reactions, they've all registered something new in the field. There's no need to search for proof. You are the proof. The frequency has changed, and you've been feeling it in the most unexpected ways. Sleep feels like a negotiation now. You may be waking up at strange hours, not because of stress, but because your system is processing energy. It doesn't know how to store in the old way. Your nervous system is learning how to hold more clarity, more charge, more intuitive sensitivity. That takes effort. And that effort shows up as exhaustion one day and overstimulation the next. As we moved through the corridor leading into the full moon of July 13th, something inside you started shifting its rhythm. The ringing in your ears, the subtle pressure in your chest, the fluttering sensations under your ribs, these aren't random. They're signals, activation points. Your internal circuitry is adjusting to meet the next version of your alignment. And your heart, your strongest field of intelligence, is expanding to speak louder than old defenses. That tightness you sometimes feel isn't damage, it's momentum. Emotionally, you may find yourself crying at nothing, irritated by everything, or strangely numb to what once shook you. This isn't regression, it's release. Stored emotion is surfacing, not to drown you, but to free you. The tears, the sensitivity, the quiet disorientation. It's not weakness, it's clearance. Let the body speak, let the emotion move, let the tiredness be sacred. You're not falling apart, you're outgrowing an old identity. What you're sensing now isn't the storm, it's the calibration that comes after. The shift isn't arriving, you're already in it. Some transitions don't announce themselves with light. They arrive quietly, wrapped in emotional discomfort, in silence that stretches too long, in memories you thought you'd buried years ago. This is that kind of threshold. The full moon on July the 13th isn't here to make you feel good. It's here to make you honest. When Capricorn holds the moon, it doesn't cradle your feelings. It audits them, not with judgment, but with precision. And when that lunar light meets the parts of you you've hidden, the surface begins to tremble. What rises now isn't chaos. It's content, repressed emotions, unspoken grief, shame so old you've mistaken it for personality. These aren't breakdowns, they're spotlights. The discomfort you're feeling may not even belong to this version of you. Some of it comes from decisions made in survival, some from ancestral patterns coded into your nervous system, and some from old timelines you never truly closed. This moon activates the vault of the shadow self, the part of you that holds everything you couldn't process at the time, so it waited. And now it's knocking. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This is that moment. The curtain lifts, and behind it are all the truths you've avoided because they were too painful, too overwhelming, or too deeply wired into who you thought you had to be. Shadow work isn't about fixing what's wrong. It's about meeting what's real. Your anger, your jealousy, your fear of abandonment, your need to be perfect, your guilt for wanting more. It all comes from somewhere. The moon doesn't shame you for it. It shows you where the wound began, not to blame, but to release the story. Capricorn energy doesn't do emotional indulgence. It demands accountability. It asks, what are you ready to face without flinching? What weight are you still carrying that doesn't belong to the person you're becoming? This isn't punishment. It's liberation with sharp edges. Whatever comes up now is surfacing for a reason. Let it rise. Let it speak. Let it sting. And then let it go. Because the shadow you're facing is not your enemy. It's the part of you that survived. And now it's ready to be integrated. Energy has been moving fast, not in chaos, but in clarity, disguised as disruption. You've been feeling it. Something shifting behind the scenes, like a silent agreement you didn't realize you made, is now dissolving. What's happening is bigger than a mood swing. This is your nervous system aligning with truth you haven't fully spoken yet. The moon in July is delivering more than reflection. It's an ignition. You're not just releasing old patterns, you're receiving new codes, instructions written in emotion, invitations encoded into your reactions. This is the kind of shift that doesn't just ask for healing, it demands that you remember your power. You may be noticing heat around your chest or your hands, a buzzing in your ears, a strange rhythm pulsing in your stomach. These are signals, not symptoms. This is your system responding to incoming light, not the light of positivity, but the light of information, memory, clarity. All the pieces of yourself you stored away when the world felt too harsh to hold them. They're back. Your energy centers are reawakening. The root is regrounding. The solar plexus is rebuilding your voice. The heart is recalibrating who it will open for. Your upper chakras are processing downloads faster than your logic can keep up. But that's not a flaw. It's proof. You're syncing with something that's already decided it's time to live through you. The emotional waves aren't setbacks. They're updates. Every unexpected tear, every surge of instinct, every urge to clear your space, shift your routine, or say no to what once felt familiar. That's you stepping into alignment with who you actually are, without the edits. You're not just being healed, you're being rebooted. This is a reset that doesn't begin with a checklist. It begins with a sensation in your chest that says, I'm done performing pain. It's not about perfecting yourself. It's about shedding everything that made you doubt your frequency. Gifts you thought were lost are coming online again. Intuition sharpening, manifestation accelerating, timing clicking. You'll say something out loud, and within hours, it begins unfolding. That's not luck. That's resonance. You're entering a new field, one where your choices echo instantly, and the world you meet will mirror the clarity you've claimed. This energy doesn't wait for your permission, it only waits for your presence. You are not being tested, you are being activated. You're not a seeker anymore, you're a transmitter. You are the signal now. There's a quiet tension building in the collective field, like a low hum running beneath conversations, timelines, and choices. People are waking up in different ways, some through dreams that won't leave them alone. Others through moments of unexpected grief, flashes of clarity, or a sudden intolerance for the noise they used to blend into. It's not random, and it's not isolated. What you're moving through isn't just personal, it's planetary. The July 13th full moon doesn't just influence the inner tides of the individual, it marks a threshold where the personal and collective bodies of consciousness begin to vibrate in sync again. The moon's influence right now is magnetic, but not in the romanticized sense. It's pulling us inward to recalibrate how we live, how we lead, and how we relate. The lunar current is working like a tuning fork, bringing every fragmented frequency into one undeniable tone. Wake up. We are being asked to feel more, not just for ourselves, but on behalf of a system that has numbed itself to survive. This isn't about becoming overwhelmed with the pain of the world. It's about learning to hold awareness without drowning in it. When you heal an old pattern of silence, it affects more than just your story. It begins to dissolve generations of suppression. The vibration of truth, once unlocked in one being, moves like wildfire. That's why this time is sacred. Every soul that steps into coherence becomes a signal tower. And with every conscious choice you make, from setting a boundary to breathing through the urge to shut down, you're changing what humanity has access to. There's been a massive acceleration in how fast thoughts manifest, how quickly timelines collapse, and how obvious misalignment feels. The moon in July brings this into sharp focus. You're no longer able to ignore what's out of sync without consequence. But the beauty is, neither can anyone else. The frequency has risen across the board. Those who used to stay hidden are speaking out. The systems that once relied on emotional labor, silence, or distraction to stay intact are beginning to show their cracks. And what's rushing in to take their place? Presence, authenticity, and a kind of spiritual immunity to the manipulations that once worked in a sleeping world. The collective grid is being rewired right now, not through technology or policy, but through vibration. Every time you choose truth over performance, rest over punishment, compassion over control, you create an imprint. That imprint ripples into the field, and someone else, perhaps someone you'll never meet, suddenly finds the courage to do the same. You're not just healing yourself, you're participating in a redesign. It's important to understand that the global field isn't changed through grand speeches or perfect people. It shifts through accumulated frequencies of aligned choice. And right now, the full moon is intensifying those choices. Everything is louder. The patterns that are ready to go are screaming on their way out. The stories that want to stay hidden are aching for exposure. And the desire for realness, for intimacy, truth, spiritual belonging is no longer niche. It's becoming the new baseline. The collective awakening is not neat. It's not branded. It doesn't always look like people meditating on mountaintops or lighting candles in quiet temples. Sometimes it looks like breakdowns in grocery stores, arguments that bring hidden resentment to the surface, people leaving jobs, lovers, lives that no longer match who they are becoming. And every one of those ruptures is holy. The moon has always known how to move us. Subtly, steadily, unrelentingly. But this cycle, this is a rerouting. July 13th marks a point where the spiritual architecture of Earth begins another layer of its rebuild. It's a frequency correction, but one that requires mass participation. You're not being asked to fix the world. You're being asked to become so clear in your frequency that distortion can't cling to you anymore. We live in a field of mirrors. What you avoid in yourself shows up in others. What you heal in yourself releases pressure from the collective. And what you embody becomes permission for someone else who's still trying to believe it's possible. This is how awakening works now, through transmission, through resonance, through micro acts of spiritual defiance. You refusing to go numb again, you choosing to listen instead of react, you staying when your patterns scream to run, you loving without sacrificing your own clarity, you speaking even when your voice shakes. All of it matters, and when enough people shed the roles they were conditioned to play, when enough hearts stop performing and start feeling, when enough nervous systems stabilize in safety rather than react from survival, that's when Earth becomes a different kind of classroom. Not built on fear, but on frequency. And that shift doesn't begin out there. It begins with what you choose today. How you breathe through discomfort, what you no longer abandon yourself for, what truths you're finally ready to live out loud. We're not waiting for a savior. We are remembering we've always been the signal. Somewhere between silence and sound, a new frequency is weaving itself into the collective. It's subtle but undeniable. You might notice it in the way people pause more before speaking, or how truth seems to leak out from places that were once sealed tight. This isn't coincidence, it's resonance, and it's being amplified by the spiritual charge of the July full moon. As the moon ripens into its brightest form, it shines through layers of false identity we didn't know we were still wearing. The illusion of separation, of hierarchy, of them versus us, all of it starts to lose its hold when you're lit from within by something more real than performance. This is the quiet revolution. That's how the collective field recalibrates, through private decisions made in integrity, through personal awakenings that ripple across invisible threads connecting all of us. When you speak your truth without needing it to be palatable, it gives others permission to do the same. When you pause and self-regulate before reacting, you don't just save a relationship, you recalibrate a timeline. When you soften into your own discomfort instead of outsourcing your healing, you stop cycles that have existed for generations. What you heal in solitude transforms the collective in silence. And now, this moon, this charged, pressurized, luminous moon, is activating more than just surface emotion. It's thinning the buffer between timelines. That means thoughts, decisions, and energetic intentions are moving into matter faster than ever. The collective shift is no longer theoretical, it's experiential. What you say, how you say it, the vibration you carry when you walk into a room, it all matters. It all becomes part of the architecture of what's being built next. And we are building next. There's no returning to what was. The world before was heavy with unspoken grief, silenced intuition, and structures built from scarcity. This shift is about letting go of what worked only because we agreed to shrink to fit inside it. Now, the agreements are dissolving fast. Those who are tuned in can feel it. Relationships are either deepening or disappearing. Communities are either becoming containers for growth or collapsing under their own unspoken fractures. Systems that once seemed indestructible are faltering, not because of chaos, but because clarity is arriving like a flood. This is not destruction. This is realignment. The collective awakening is revealing who we are without our masks. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, because what's underneath the mask isn't always perfect, but it's always true. And this moon, the one vibrating across the field right now, isn't asking for perfection, it's asking for presence. We are being asked to witness the world without shutting down, to feel the ache without freezing, to speak even when it's inconvenient, to rest without guilt, to create without seeking permission. Every act of wholeness is a counterspell to the fragmentation we've lived in for too long. You are not here to fix the planet. You are here to remember your original frequency and let that remembrance recalibrate the space around you. That's how collective evolution happens now, through embodied presence, through resonance, not resistance. The spiritual field is shifting from knowledge-based to embodiment-based. You don't need more information, you need integration. The moon will show you. Where you've intellectualized your growth instead of living it. Where you've collected teachings without letting them change you. Where you've said the right words but avoided the real feeling. But don't mistake this for a reprimand. It's an invitation. This Capricorn full moon isn't something you just observe in the sky and forget. It's a frequency coded into the very bones of time. The kind of alignment that rearranges your inner architecture if you let it. July 13th is not just a date. It's an intersection where personal truth meets cosmic law. And the choices you make right now become part of the blueprint your next chapter will follow. This moon doesn't just ask you to reflect, it initiates, it activates. And what you do in response matters. These aren't just rituals, these are realignments. Each step is a message to the field, a vibration sent out into the living fabric of the universe, showing that you are ready, not just to receive, but to hold what's meant for you. Practices for the Capricorn. Full moon, July 13th. 1 hour of silence. No scrolling, no multitasking. Sit in stillness, not to think, but to listen. This is a hermetic principle. The inner voice can't rise above the noise unless you clear the static. The whisper of your higher pattern will never compete with the volume of distraction. You have to make space for it.